earned value management. As an introduction into earned value management, you may recall that we have what's called the iron triangle or the triple constraint. That is cost, time, and scope. Well, as a project manager, you're going to be managing a lot of different things in a project. You have a lot of balls in the air. Today, our focus is on cost and schedule. That is where we will actually do our earned value calculations from. You may recall that a baseline is the original plan plus all approved changes. And those three baselines, the triple constraint, scope, and cost baselines, those are the focus. That's where we calculate earned value. That's what we want to make sure is staying on track with earned value management. We look at first of all, the two items that are required for any project. And that would be the cost and schedule management plans. We develop these early in the project, and they really tell us how to execute the cost and schedule, how to plan for them. And it tells us basically how we will control schedule, how we'll control scope, and how we will actually develop them. And it defines how they will be documented, how they'll be prioritized, validated, and controlled. And then we analyze the actual cost and schedule for variance information. The plan will give us some thresholds, perhaps, that as long as we stay within those thresholds, then we are good to go. We don't have to take any action. But if we exceed those thresholds, we have a variance. So that information is going to be provided also in the cost management plan and the schedule management plan. One of the first steps that we have to do in any project as we start planning the project specifics is to estimate the cost for each activity. How much is it going to cost? These costs are what the baselines will be made up of. The cost is also where we will manage our earned value to make sure we're spending in accordance with the plan and trying to understand how much value we have created in the project itself. Then we estimate activity durations. We estimate activity durations, which is a part of our schedule. Our duration estimates and all, along with the project network diagram, which gives us the sequence and the activity list, those are the things that we will use then to help us create our project schedule. And of course, we will measure the schedule based on the baselines that we have established. What's my schedule and my budget going to look like? Well, you can see at the top there that as an output of determined budget, we have the budget baseline. The budget baseline. And this baseline is what's placed under control, and the baseline is going to be evaluated for earned value, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Then we have the project network diagram. Project network diagram is also part of our schedule baseline, and it's an output of sequence activities. It's an input into developed schedule, and it's combined with our overall schedule, which will give us our schedule baseline. Our schedule baseline could, in fact, be our project network diagram or whatever we define as our project baseline. However, we place that under control. And that's where we will do our earned value analysis at. Moving right along, we control cost and schedule. These are two processes that are very important to us. And this is where we will do our earned value analysis. This is where we will determine how we're performing with regards to the budget and with regards to the schedule. And you can see these two processes listed here: control cost and control schedule. How are we performing? Do the results, the actual, match the plan? Do we have to issue change requests to bring the variances under control? What is our forecast based on our analysis? And all of these will be an output as a result of the things we do in control cost and control schedule. You may have seen this before. This is a S-curve. And an S-curve kind of lays out where we're going to be spending the money. Our budget is always time phased to the schedule. And if you look at this really very critically, you can see that there's a slight S here. Very, very slight S. That's where it gets its name, S-curve. Normally what we're going to see in an S-curve is the expenditures will be lagging behind the baseline. Here's your cost baseline. And they will meet up right here at the BAC, the budget at completion. Normally that's what we would see in an S-curve. That's what we want to see in an S-curve. But what we see in this S-curve is we have exceeded the BAC and we are having to draw from the management reserve. The management reserve is normally it's reserve money that management has set aside should cost overruns occur. But you, as a project manager, cannot spend that money without prior authorization to do. This is where that all comes from here. What can I do to avoid a situation like here? I can do my earned value management throughout the life of the project and use it as leading indicators so that I know how I'm performing with regards to the budget and with regards to the schedule. Normally what happens is we will collect invoices and we'll make a payment. We'll collect invoices, make a payment, and we look at that, and that's why we have that lag in expenditures versus the cost baseline. My total budget or my project budget includes management reserve and the BAC. The BAC is going to have all my contingency funds for cost overruns, for risk or whatever reason, money we've set aside, and it will be included in the BAC, and as the project manager, you should be authorized to spend that money. However, again, you have to go to management to request additional funds and to be able to draw from that management reserve, which you don't want to do unless there's a bona fide addition to the project or for some reason that there's been a change made. Think about it this way. That BAC is dynamic to a certain degree. It's dynamic because we can change that BAC or the actual schedule baseline based on approved change request. There's no reason for this situation here to occur except you've not been minding the store and paying attention to what's going on in your project. I have to say that's one of the biggest things that project managers fall short on, is checking their project to make sure that it is functioning correctly and that it is moving forward as we plan for it to do. Computing earned value analysis. Here are some steps to go through. First of all, read the exercise completely through. Understand what you're measuring. You have to have the information to be able to manage earned value. And then you make a chart. What is it that you want to calculate? What is it that you want to calculate? In this case, I have a written expression of what we want, of what we're analyzing, and what we want to calculate. We'll get to that in a minute. But you have to gather the information that you need to be able to do the earned value analysis. Then you fill in the chart with information from the exercise. You fill in the chart with information based on what you're looking to solve or understand in your project. And then you compute the required expression based on the information that you've collected. Here's a demonstration of those steps. I'm going to give you just a minute to read this. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to give you just a minute to read this. And this is all the information that we need to be able to calculate earned value. If you were doing this on your work, this is the type of information you would have to gather. Basically, what we have here is a description of the project, and we have specified how many cell towers we're going to modify, and we have a contract for $11,250,000, and we have 18 months to complete it. And there's some risk involved here, because if we don't meet that 18-month schedule, then we're subject to a 10% penalty. John estimates that his company is going to require $9,000 worth of expenditures and costs to perform this project. We're in month 12. We have spent $5.25 million, and we've upgraded 90 towers. That's the type of information you have to collect to be able to do earned value analysis. If we go to the second step of the chart that we talked about, the various steps, the next thing we will do is to select what we're going to calculate. What do we need to understand for this particular project? And we're going to create a chart based on that. We're going to calculate budget at completion, BAC. We're going to calculate plan value, PV, earned value, EV, actual cost, AC, cost variance, CV, cost performance index, CPI, schedule variance, SV, and schedule performance index, SPI. That's what we're going to calculate. We set up a nice table for that, and we list all of those items in this table. This is earned value management. This is earned value. This is what I'm going to be analyzing based on the critical information that I've obtained from my collection of the information on my project. For this project, we go back and we reread. We establish what is the most important information that I need for this project. Here it is. I'm going to upgrade 150 cell towers. I'm going to complete the upgrade in 18 months, and the upgrades are going to cost $9 million. It's the end of 12 months, and we've upgraded 90 towers, and we've spent $5.25 million. So I have all the information here that I need to be able to calculate the earned value for this project. Let's go to our table. They gave, in this example, we've given the budget at completion, $9 million. We've also given the actual amount spent. That would come from your accounting folks. They would provide you with the $5.25 million, whatever money you've spent for the project up to this point in time. There's one thing that's missing here, isn't there? If I go back to this slide, previous slide, and I look at it, I left out a number here, $11.25 million. Why did I leave that out? That's what I get paid for it. That's not my cost. My cost versus the $11.25 million of subtraction would give me the amount of profit that I'm going to make on this particular project. But that's not a factor of earned value. Earned value is based on the premise for every dollar I invest in a project, I get $1 worth of return. That is our expectation. If I buy 1,000 feet of film at $10,000, I'm getting $10,000 worth of value. That is the premise on which earned value is based. We've established what the actual cost is and what the budget at completion is. Our next step is going to be to calculate plan value. Plan value. The formula for plan value is the plan percent complete times the BAC. We're 18 months into the project. It's an 18-month project. We're 12 months into the project. To calculate the plan percent complete, I would divide that out and then multiply it times the BAC, which is $9 million. Here we go. 12 months into the project, 18-month project, the percentage, and then I'd multiply that times $9 million. And that says my planned value is $6 million. In other words, if I am progressing according to the plan at 12 months into the project, I will have spent $6 million. That's my benchmark. That's where I should be, $6 million. Where am I? We need to continue on. How well is that? We put $6 million into our box, into our table, and then we move on to earn value. Earn value. Remember, the plan percent complete times the BAC. Earn value is the actual percent complete times the BAC. The actual percent complete times the BAC. We have 150 towers to do. That's the number planned. We have completed 90 towers. The BAC is $9 million. What is the actual percent complete? The actual percent complete, if I plug those numbers into the formula, would be 90 divided by 150, and you multiply that times $9 million, and that gives us an earned value of $5.4 million. $5.4 million. I plug that into my table right here, earned value management, earned value results, and then I go on. Remember, our planned value was $6 million. Our earned value is $5.4 million. We have a problem, don't we? Okay? Let's go on to see what our problem is. We have a variance. We have a variance. That variance formula is earned value minus AC. The EV has been calculated. The AC was given. We'll look at that then. The CV is $5.4 million minus the $5.25 million. I'm sorry, when I said that wrong, we have a problem. I didn't mean it. We have earned value of 5.4 and an actual cost of 5.2. That's what we're looking at here. The difference is $150,000. $150,000. If it's a plus number, then we are under budget. 0, of course, would be on budget, and a negative number would be over budget. We're in good standing here. We are under budget at this point in time. $5.25 million versus the 5.4 earned value. We're in good shape, right? We calculate what's known as our CPI, Cost Performance Index. This is an index, remember that. Now, we have calculated EV and AC was given. Our formula is EV divided by AC. Earned value divided by actual cost. Everything's in our table right here. It's easy to access. It's easy to see. Our formula is CPI divided by EV divided by AC. We plug in those numbers. Our earned value is 5.5. Our actual cost is 5.25. And that gives us a CPI of 1.03. 1.03. We plug that number in up here, Cost Performance Index right here. This Cost Performance Index, a CPI of 1 says that I'm on budget. I'm right where I should be. A CPI less than 1 says I'm over budget. If that were 0.9, I would be over budget. A CPI greater than 1 says that I am under budget. I am actually under budget at this point in time. That just confirms our other analysis, doesn't it? That we're doing well with the cost on this particular project. We've talked about the cost. How about the schedule? How about the schedule? This is also a part of our earned value management approach. What does the schedule look like? We take the schedule variance, the SV, and the formula is EV minus PV. Our earned value is $5.4 million. Our planned value is $6 million. We plug those numbers in. This is a problem. we have a red $600,000. We have a negative $600,000. In other words, we are $600,000 over, or $600,000 over budget. SV. We're going to use that then. A plus number would mean ahead of schedule. A 0 would be on schedule. And a negative number says we're behind schedule. As we plug these numbers in here, we know that we are actually behind schedule with this project. Next, let's move on. We have then our formula for SPI, Schedule Performance Index. The formula is EV divided by PV. Earned value has been calculated and planned value has been calculated. We pull that from our table over here, earned value and planned value, and we plug it into the formula. That gives us an SPI of 0.9. We have a problem. And this validates the fact that our SPI, that it was a negative number. We are behind schedule big time. We are, if we were at 1, we'd be on schedule. Less than 1, we're behind schedule. And greater than 1, we're ahead of schedule. One of the things I didn't mention earlier was that when I'm talking about CPI, I'm talking about spending efficiency. CPI is spending efficiency. SPI is working efficiency. So how, in this case, we're not performing very well. We are way behind schedule. We put our CPI, our SPI over here. We've calculated the BAC, planned value, earned value, actual cost, cost variance, cost performance index, schedule variance, and schedule performance index. What do we do with those numbers? Other than the fact I know that I am behind schedule and I know that I am under budget. We can take those numbers and we can forecast. We can forecast. When we forecast, we want to estimate at completion. Estimate at completion. How much will we spend on this particular project is our question. Based on the analysis that we've done today. Now, when we estimate at completion, we are estimating based on our current rate. In other words, our CPI was 1.03. If I continue at this spending efficiency, the spending rate of 1.03 from now to the end of the project, I will finish this project under budget at $8.738 million. That says I will finish it under budget if I continue at this current spending efficiency. What is my ETC? Estimate to complete. How much more money will I be spending from to the end of the project based on my new EAC? There's a formula that says EAC minus AC, and that will give me our ETC of $3.5 million basically. I have to spend another $3.5 million for this project to be complete based on my current spending efficiency. How about my schedule? What about my schedule? I said I was behind schedule. If I continue at my current working level, when will I finish this project? Remember, it was a 18-month project. We are behind schedule. Using our SPI, we will divide that 18 months by 0.9, which is our SPI, and that says we will finish this project in 20 months instead of the planned 18 months. What does that do? We've got some penalties associated with this project, don't we? If we have penalties associated with this project, and I'm towards the end of the project when I do this, guess what? I'm going to be paying money out. I'm giving away my profit because I did not measure to see when I would be finished with this project. I'm paying penalties out. This is what we call leading indicators. Leading indicator says that I will check the amount of money that I'm spending, my schedule performance, periodically. How often? Let me say this. If you're spending a lot of money, you better be doing it quite often. You may be doing it weekly in some cases. You may be doing it monthly in some cases. But you want to make sure that you gauge this and that you're completing this periodically throughout the project. If I'm halfway through the project and I realize I'm behind schedule, I have 9 months left to get caught up in. And potentially I can get caught up in that 9-month period of time. But if I'm in the last couple of months of the project and I'm over budget or under budget or over schedule, behind schedule, then I can't react to it. There's no way I can react to it to bring that project back under control so that I will finish it on time. If I wanted to calculate my time to complete, then I would just simply go in and do some subtraction there from the schedule based on the new schedule, and I could establish then how many months or how many days, whatever it might be, that I have to complete this project.